Streaming services. Now, I would say these have taken over the life of almost everybody definitely everybody that will be watching the channel, but almost everybody. I feel that these are the cornerstones of where most people reach their media. Some people don't even go to movies anymore. They will just wait for things to come out on streaming services. And I think that because of that, there are so fucking many. Now, I believe that one does run supreme, and I will be glad to talk and get more into it. Now, I am sure you guys already know what I'm talking about because it's the title of the video, but the one I'm talking about is Apple TV. Now, it's always nice whenever I get to talk about something like this. Now, Apple TV is one of the rare occasions where the streaming service is still not gouging you for your money. The other streaming services seem to be jacking up the prices every 3 fucking months at this point. I'm talking to you, Netflix. Fuck you, man. And I'm afraid that that's just gonna be the way it goes for the rest of the time. And man, Apple TV has not budged once. Now, the main reason why people even get streaming services are because of the convenience of it just being in their home. They don't have to spend that much money, and they just get to pay a little bit of a monthly premium, and boom, all these shows and movies are to your convenience. And to you guys, just saying that Apple TV is the best would make me sound like a heretic at this point. But trust me, let's get into it. Now, Apple TV is, I would say, on the top tiers of original content. It comes from shows like Ted Lasso, to Shrinking, to Slow Horses, all the way to the newest Emmy nomination that they have with Widow's Bay. They have not missed in a very long time. And with the other streaming services, they all have good original content, but most of their stuff comes from shows or TV that are not made by them, but bought the rights to use. Now, I would say Netflix is almost synonymous for this because they are used almost mainly for Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, 2 shows they didn't help make whatsoever. So, there's that. And then they also have their own original content, but it's not a great look. They have Stranger Things. Netflix also has Beef, which also won Emmys, and I love that. They have Squid Games, which people are in love with. Mindhunters, which was cut real short, sadly. And then BoJack Horseman, one of my other favorites. And one of their popular ones is Arcane, which I haven't seen much of, but I have heard great things. And I would say the only other people who really stand up to, not people, the only streaming services that hold up to Apple TV with originals, I would say, is maybe, I want to say Hulu. I really like Hulu, because they have The Bear, they have Only Murders in the Building, they also have Handmaid's Tale, The Great, that was a really good show, and they also have Paradise. Paradise was phenomenal. Disney Plus has just a bunch of superhero stuff, so if you get hard on for superhero stuff, you will love it because it's just like WandaVision, Loki, Daredevil, Born Again, X-Men 97, which X-Men 97 is peak. You should all watch it. And then we get to Peacock, which I would say is the worst of the worst with this. I want to give them some credit because NBC, the parent company of Peacock, does make a lot of good shows, and because of that on said streaming platform. But for just shows that came out just for the streaming service, we have Poker Face, which is alright. Didn't love it. The Traitors, dog shit. I don't care about it. The only one that I really remember and resonate with was the Ted series, which I love. But because it's so much money and people hate when people enjoy themselves, that got canceled. Because, God forbid, we get what we want. And I would say because of that, we are stuck in a power vacuum for best streaming service where it's not just easily Netflix or easily Hulu. You have other streaming services that are here, and they are here to stay from what it seems like. They're all priced differently, which, I mean, you'd assume based on what they have and what they give you. I do realize that Netflix is the worst when it comes to this, because I am pretty sure Netflix is $22 for without ads for Netflix. Why the fuck am I paying that much money for a streaming service? Usually people would be getting these because they're just cheaper than cable if you just get all the streaming services and just get what you want and just watch what you want. So you're not having to pay like 100, 150, maybe even 200. I'm not old enough to know how much cable is, I'm not gonna lie to you. But just a bunch of money to get to the cable. But with this being such a huge issue with the price jacking and the price just going up and up and up, I don't know if you need more of a reason to buy what you're buying, which is why I think streaming services need to do better with their original content, and which is why I love Apple TV as much as I do. Now, I won't sit here and just jerk off Apple TV all day. I will say there are better pricing options when it comes to streaming services. With Netflix being $25, by the way, I had to look it up again to remind myself it is a lot more than I was hoping it was. And then Hulu giving you only a $10 option with ads, but if you want those without, it's basically $20. Disney Plus, they are pretty good without giving you ads, because I don't think they even have ads, but they're around $10-ish, which isn't bad. HBO Max, not great. Again, another $10 without ads, but then $17 for ad-free, and $22 if you want to pay the premium version of it, which, I mean, it's premium, so I don't blame them. Peacock is, I would say, the best example of just giving you something that you need and not making you pay too much for it. Peacock is $8 with ads, my bad, and 14 with them. Now, I would say it's not bad compared to some of the other ones here, with Paramount having the exact same thing, but with a $1 less with Showtime, and having, it's basically, Paramount is $8, but if you want to add Showtime, it's basically as much as every other fucking streaming service, so why not, I guess. And you also get Apple TV for $10 to $13, depending on where you got it from, and if it's a deal or a bundle. It's a whole different thing with your carrier for your phones and your internet, so I don't want to get into all that. And then with Amazon Prime, it is a niche little $9 standalone, or $15 monthly with full Prime membership, which, again, isn't horrible. I do want to go back only because it deserves the criticism. Netflix, just standard, is $18. But if you had it normally before they started doing all the price jacking at the early start, they're not keeping you at the standard. They keep raising your price to the premium without you choosing for it, which means you are at $25 a month, which is fucking ludicrous. I don't understand how that's possible. And then another reason why Hulu is so loved is because Hulu is able to have their live TV option, which is a whole reason why Hulu on its own is a pretty standalone thing. I love it because you also get your live TV, you get your sports, you get your whole thing there. But when it comes to streaming services, when it comes to getting what you want, when it comes to movies and shows, I feel like Apple TV is the place to go. Now, I will say I am glad to get that baseline out of our way so I can talk about just why Apple TV is as supreme as it is. To kind of start it off, because it has a new season coming out weekly on Wednesdays as we speak, is Ted Lasso. Now, Ted Lasso is one of the most renowned shows that have come out in the last couple of years. I am in love with this show. I feel like without Ted Lasso, Apple TV wouldn't be able to get the funding it has right now and wouldn't be able to give us the peak that it's giving us at the moment. But I feel Ted Lasso has opened our eyes to just how great Apple TV has been. Even a little bit like after this, like Silo, not my cup of tea, but it is rated well, and I have people in my life that love that show with a passion. And then there's movies like The Gorge, which was alright, but they also have The Martian on here. It is not an original, so I'm not gonna give them their props for having The Martian on here, but I mean, they have great movies on top of here as well, on top of their just original shows and movies. With Zoolander, The Martian, The Sixth Sense, they also have The Arrival, 21 Jump Street, iRobot, Gone Girl, which I love the book a lot. Gone Girl is amazing. If you haven't read it or watched it, do both. And because of Ted Lasso, people have gotten more into football nowadays, or soccer, and it is just amazing to watch all of America come around to the United States for the World Cup, and to just watch that, it was all phenomenal, and I genuinely give some of it to Ted Lasso for bringing people into it just a little bit. And with that, they also have movies and shows that have come out kind of recently, like Your Friends and Neighbors, which gets nominated every once in a while. I'm pretty sure it got nominated this year. For All Mankind. They have Cape Fear, which came out around the same time as Widow's Bay, and I guess Widow's Bay, which is one of my favorites on this streaming service, and one of a most definite watch for the people that are watching this video. Now, it's hard to compare these with streaming services that have the likes of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and they also have movies up their wazoo because they just buy everything. They have a fucking GTA 6 enhanced look coming in August. I'm talking about Netflix. And they have Stranger Things, which they ran to the ground and made bad at the end of the show. I will, you know what? I'll give them some credit. They do make the show Tires, which is one of my favorite comedy series that's coming out this year so far, other than Abbott Elementary, which is on Hulu as well. I'll get to them later. But I really like Tires. But then there's stuff like Black Mirror. Black Mirror is phenomenal. That's a Netflix show. BoJack Horseman. I love that show with a passion. I'm so glad that that's here. And I just feel like that these shows and movies build up for the streaming service. There's there's Suits. I don't think I can watch that in my places. Ozark. That's a Netflix show. Ozark was phenomenal. And then there's stuff like Shameless that I haven't seen left this streaming service in God knows how long, so I make it like kind of synonymous with Netflix. Same with Breaking Bad. Same with Better Call Saul. Same with The Flash. I love that show. Peaky Blinders. That's amazing. The Beast in Me. That's really good. Caught Stealing. That's on here. That's not bad. I like that movie. The Black Rabbit. That's really good. And then the Monster series, which is heavily, I would say, talked about. Because some people hate it, some people love it, and some people don't give a shit. I would say, due to this, they have a huge reputation as just one of the best in the world when it comes to streaming services, and I can't blame people for thinking that Netflix is just that guy, you know what I mean? And speaking of Hulu, I might as well go right into it. They also have a great amount of stuff to watch here. They have Abbott Elementary. I love that show. There's The Bear. The Bear is fucking phenomenal. Jeremy Allen White, please have my babies. He is phenomenal in that show. And then there's Alien Earth. Alien Earth is phenomenal. I love that as well. Only Murderers in the Building. I've watched most of that show. I haven't watched the newest season that come out, but that is also a really, really good show. I would say they have the luck of having just almost every single show network that's on cable so far just hooked to Hulu. And so just all these bullshit comes out on it. So everyone buys it because they just have all the slop. They have Dancing with the Stars, Kitchen Nightmares, Duck Dynasty, House Hunters, Nation's Dumbest, Grocery Games, Celebrity Family Feud, fucking Jeopardy, Chopped. Yeah, you know what I mean. Just a bunch of fucking bullshit that old moms and grandmas just can't wait to watch. And then they have stuff like Impractical Jokers, which is also on HBO Max, but for some reason HBO Max doesn't have the first seasons because, God forbid, I guess. But they also have Devil Wears Prada 2. I don't watch those movies. I wouldn't know. Solo Mio, a Kevin James movie that was marketed up the ass, and I love it. They have Grownish, that's really good. Neighborhood, not bad. Blackish, pretty good. And then they have the synonymous and most well-known series on the platform, 911.
The heck is that?
And just to speed run through these, Disney Plus has all of the Marvel. They have the ESPN stuff. They have the Discovery Channel, which I don't know a lot of people watching, but I mean they have to get somebody because they paid a lot of money for it. And then there's Prime Video. They have The Boys. They have Reacher. They also have Invincible. I don't know why I forgot about Invincible. They have the best movie of all time, Ricky Snicky. Freaking peak right there. I promise you that. Sheep Detectives, which is another really great movie, that's on there. And then if you really, really are starving for content on this, they do, in fact, have a Jacksepticeye 24/7 channel where you can just watch Jacksepticeye. So don't worry, there will always be peak television on your TV. I'll get this one out of the way fast. Peacock, they have a bunch of sitcoms because they bought the rights to a bunch of sitcoms. So they have stuff like Psych, Modern Family, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and The Office, which Brooklyn Nine-Nine and The Office, just that itself will let them take my money a little bit more. But they also got the new sensation like Obsession, which people have been loving. So they have that. They have New Girl. They have Superstore. They have Ted. Love Ted. 30 Rock, The Middle. They have all that on top of Saturday Night Live. It's just basically NBC. So they have their own little niche of good sitcoms, which makes it worthwhile putting your money into this. I would say the only streaming service that I don't really love, that I don't think is worth a lot of your money, sadly, is Paramount Plus. The only reason why I would think someone would want to watch Paramount Plus is if they really like the UFC, and that is why they would get into UFC through Paramount, because they're not pay-per-views anymore. You can watch them on Paramount, and I feel that is where most of their money comes from, because I doubt they were doing too well beforehand. But they do have South Park. They just made a huge deal with South Park's creators to get them on the platform. They have Dexter. They have King of Queens. I mean, it's not horrible, but all of their good stuff that I was liking is just getting canceled left and right. Like Ghost, that was really good. DMV, that was a good first season. Yeah, that was gone. That's not usual anymore. So, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff on here that can make you a little excited, but then they just kind of cancel it, which is, I think, an overarching issue with Paramount and why I don't know how long they'll be able to go. I will say they're probably fine because they have the UFC thing, so they'll have that niche until that goes away. So they will probably be fine. And then the big kahuna, HBO Max, they have The Sopranos, The Wire. They have shows like Welcome to Derry. I loved that show. They have Impractical Jokers, but only the newer seasons, so woohoo. They have House of Dragon, Game of Thrones, fucking Stuart Fails to Save the Universe, all the best stuff. You can't not watch Great Peak here. They also have drama, White Lotus, Long Walk, Rooster, like Smiling Friends, R.I.P. Smiling Friends. God, I'm gonna miss you. Euphoria, everyone's favorite show, and totally not just because they were horny for Sydney Sweeney. I swear to God, that's the only reason why those fucks watch this show. But whatever. And then I guess Big Bang Theory. I'm gonna mention it because it's a really popular show, but I don't know a lot of people that even fucking like the show. So I mean, I'll give them the praise. Now that I've given a rundown of basically every single streaming service that's, I guess, technically worthwhile, other than Tubi, I want to get finally into what makes Apple TV the best. I feel Apple TV is known for their down-to-earth and lovingly, like, beautiful characters and storyline. I think Shrinking with Jimmy has that entire beautiful storyline of grief and how people deal with that. I think Ted Lasso with Ted Lasso being just absolutely a wonder to watch and just brightening everybody's day, making me feel happy, and just making my day better just by seeing it. And then they have a little bit of the creepier stuff and a little bit more supernatural, like Widow's Bay, which was amazing. I would definitely recommend you watching. They were just nominated at the Emmys, so I hope they win. And they also have stuff like Cape Fear, which is on the downside of their peak, but still pretty good. In Shrinking, Jimmy's whole arc of the show is that his wife has passed away and has left him to be a single father to his daughter, and just his life as a therapist and how he helps people going forward. And I find that story beautiful with Jimmy and his daughter. He has Harrison Ford's character in there. It's a lovely, lovely watch, and I couldn't rave about it less. I love it so much. I think everyone should watch it. It is in one of maybe my top 10 of shows of all time. I love, love, love it. And speaking of in my top 10, I have Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is fucking amazing. I don't think it captures the emotions of love and how just one good thing and one good person in your life can change your life for the better. And I feel like Ted Lasso being a role model for people who watch that show would make the world a better place, because I would hope and strive for people to be more like him in their life and less bad people. I don't know. You get what I'm saying here. What I'm really trying to get here is that Ted Lasso is a great way to look at yourself and be, am I being the person I need to be in my life to make the world a better place? And I think Ted Lasso does a great job with that. And then I'll get a little bit less depressing with Widow's Bay, which is just a story of a mayor trying to get his town into the next Martha's Vineyard, but it's cursed. That's basically the synopsis that you need for you to go in and be charmed and find the show funny and find it scary at some moments. It does a great job of keeping you on your toes, of laughing your ass off, and then the next couple minutes you're scared shitless because of the thing that's going on. I just think that they do a great job with their shows. And then I can't sadly say the same about their movies. The Gorge, I really, really love Miles Teller, so I try to give everything that he's in a chance. But since Fan Four Stick, I have been sadly crying in my closet and never coming out because of how just horrendous that fucking movie was. And so I was hoping maybe he'd finally get into more roles that give him that edge of being an amazing actor. And he was getting them in the Top Gun movies, and then he goes into The Gorge, and I'm like, finally, he's back on the high horse. Let's get into this. And it was fucking bad. I didn't like it. So, I mean, they have their setbacks with their movies not always being the best, but they hit it out of the park with their TV shows. And I think because of that, it just makes me feel like I'm at home just watching something that I think can make your day better. And I love Apple TV for that. With that being said, I think Apple TV is the best streaming service for you, just the bang for your buck. You get a good amount of shows and movies for not as much money as you would give for everywhere else, and then I would feel as this is a better spent of your money than 90% of the streaming services. I think HBO Max with ads is a good way to spend your money as well. HBO Max is also up there with Apple TV, I would say. And I just think Apple TV takes the run because they have been on a hot streak recently with Ted Lasso, with Widow's Bay. I think they have done no wrong recently and they are on fire, and I just felt like that should be brought up and shown to the light a little bit so people understand just how great they have it so far this year. And fellas, that being said, Zach the Critique here, willing to sign off and say goodbye. I hope you all enjoy the video, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and make sure to comment down below maybe your favorite streaming service so I can see where the opinion is on if I was too far off on putting this so high up as I do, to be fair. That being said, I love you all. Be good people.